And we are back just like that. So we are talking part 2 on my channel about the Chiefs and the Ravens and the Dolphins and Jaguars. Let's get it. Let's talk Ravens with Yolanda. Today's video, we are going to discuss each player that makes up the offensive line. Good evening, everyone. We are back. I've got Miss Fins with us back in the building tonight because pardon the technical difficulties that we experienced last night, but do you think that's going to stop us? Absolutely not. We are coming back because this is football season and we have games to preview and a lot to talk about tonight, but we are under time constraints because Miss Fins tonight at 8 p.m. over on her channel is doing her Pick'ems League. So yes, welcome into the show again, Miss Fins. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited. Nothing is gonna stop us now,
No.
But very excited to do part 2 over here. Technically, part 3 of our mini series.
Yes.
About our two teams and what they're gonna deal with in the first week. But yes, tonight I have my draft tonight. I also have the free Pick'ems League as well. So if you guys want to join, you can definitely join over there. The link will be in the description. It's 100% free. And you can choose, if you're a winner, you can choose a free jersey. The last 2 winners have chosen jerseys for some reason. So you can get your own jersey. And if you're a Ravens fan, you can get a Ravens jersey. There you go. So good luck, guys.
Awesome. So after you leave here, go straightway over to Miss Finn's channel, give her a subscribe, follow her content. Excellent work that she's doing over there, supporting her Dolphins. So Miss Finn's, thank you again for being here. We're going to start tonight with where the Ravens, what they need to do on offense to secure this win.
So for me, I'm actually very excited about your offense. I think you guys have, honestly, you probably have the most complete offense besides us, I feel like, in the AFC. And I'm talking between quarterback, running back, wide receiver room, your tight end room. I'm loving it. You have a stud O-line as well. I would say your main focus, now that you've added Derrick Henry, you want to use him so you can liberate Lamar from having to take those hits. Go ahead and make sure that you utilize as much as possible Derrick Henry. Because to me, it's already unfair that you guys got him, having a really good team, and then you add, Derrick Henry. You want to make sure that you utilize him the most. He's a thumper. He can take 2-3 bodies at a time. He doesn't care, and you know that he loves to get his yak. So if he does get the ball passed to him as well. So for me, I'm looking for you guys to utilize Derrick Henry a lot. Also, to your young tight end, and I say it likely, he needs to be highlighted. I suspect you guys will probably end up running a lot of 2 tight end sets as well, because you have the veteran and Mark Andrews being the number 1 option for Lamar, his safety blanket. I would say utilize Isaiah Likely too, because he got plenty of experience last year in his first year, and now in his second year, I think he's going to be an even better weapon for you guys. As far as your wide receivers, you already know Zay Flowers. I really like Zay Flowers. I saw what he did and what he was able to do in the postseason and the growth that he showed. Yes, the AFC Championship, fumbling at the goal line, dropping that TD pass. These are experiences that will make him an even better wide receiver, so that next time you guys do get the opportunity to go to, let's say, an AAC championship against the Miami Dolphins, you could at least attempt to go ahead and win. But obviously, we'll end up winning. So that'll be it. And Lamar's Lamar, man. You already know Lamar. He can extend plays. He can chuck it down 70 yards if need be, or he can pick up the ball, run out of the pocket, and actually, get that first down himself. So I
Yeah.
think you guys have a very versatile offense, and I'm excited to see it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to take a couple of minutes and say hello, give a warm welcome to those who've already joined us in the chat. All right, first up, thank you. We have Agnes. Good to see you. Good evening. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. Nisha C., good evening to you. Thank you so much. We have my mom in the building. Good evening, Mom. Thank you for
Hey!
joining. Yes, my mom is from Jacksonville, so that's home for her. Some,
Also,
yeah,
okay.
but she doesn't really keep up with football like that. But every now and again, she'll, let everyone know that she's from Jacksonville. We have with
Well,
us
you have a
tonight.
beautiful,
We
beautiful
have
stadium. So there you go.
It is a very pretty stadium. Tonight we have with us Panthers Prime Podcast. Good evening. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. And Miss Fins, you touched on a lot of great points. And I'll just kind of go through and give my thoughts. I agree with you for majority of the things that you said, except I think we're going to differ on who's going to win that AFC championship. But one thing's for sure,
Oh,
two things for certain, we got to get the Chiefs out of there. We can't have the Chiefs. That I think both of us can agree. No
oh,
way, no
absolutely.
how the Chiefs are not going to the AFC championship this year. So with
Agreed.
that, it all starts this Thursday. But what I'll say in terms of Lamar Jackson, he is becoming more of a vocal leader. He's not just typically been one who speaks a lot or speaks his mind very often, but he is starting to do that now. We saw it last year, but this year we're already hearing how he is taking command of that offensive line and letting the younger guys know, listen, this is what I need you to do. If you're getting it right, he lets you know, but if you're getting it wrong, he does that too. So off the field, that's what's been pretty impressive for me, for him. But on the field, he has slimmed down this year. I do expect him to run quite a bit, even though we have Derrick Henry. I still think Lamar is going to rely on not just his arm, but he's going to beat the other teams with his legs as well. Hopefully he will not run too much, because obviously we need to make sure that we're utilizing Derrick Henry, which I'm very happy that we
Mm-hmm.
have him, and to maximize our ability to confuse the defense. When the defense steps on the field, they don't know which direction the Ravens are going to come at them.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to be key for us to continue to keep teams on their toes and not knowing what to expect. Yes, with Zay Flowers, absolutely. He needs to, this second year, take that leap, take that step in the right direction. The maturity is what I'm looking for from Zay this upcoming season. I know full well, and I believe completely, that Zay Flowers is going to be, incredibly talented. He's going to have, I'm speaking it now, 1,000-yard season or very close to it. Absolutely will. But like you mentioned, the fumbling at the goal line, dropping the touchdown, those kinds of mistakes put us in a different place, because if that had not happened, we might be having a completely different conversation right now in terms of who is
Mm-hmm.
the reigning champion from last year. But I'm not going to put it all. I certainly don't put everything on Zay as a rookie. That's a lot. But those kinds of mistakes, as you said, you take it and you live with it, and it makes you better. So that's what I'm hoping for him. And yes, employing that 2 tight end set, absolutely, we need to do that. And that's something that I want to see how our offensive coordinator, Todd Monken, going into his second year, how is he able to do that? Because last year we didn't really see a lot of it, and primarily because we lost Mark Andrews to injury. And once he came back, it was the AFC Championship. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd like
Literally.
to, so, right, he returned in that game. And so now we get to see a healthy Mark Andrews. He was in a car accident a couple of a week or so ago, but he's back to practice. He said he's feeling fine. his body is healthy. That's what I'm looking for. How is Todd Monken going to be able to utilize both tight ends on the field at the same time? And we also have third string Charlie Kolar, who's excellent blocker. So, blocking tight end, looking forward to seeing him too. Question for you. This is my
Mm-hmm.
thought. If I had to say one area of question for the Ravens going into this game would be the offensive line, because we're utilizing several players who are younger. What are your thoughts on the Ravens offensive line and matching up against Chris Jones and the Chiefs?
Okay, so let's be honest. It's Chris Jones. You're taking an L in that aspect because it's him. You already know what kind of defensive player he is. There's no need to sugarcoat it. That man, he he doesn't know how to stop.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to deal with him as a DT, coming off that left side. But as long as, which in my opinion, although you may have, younger players, I still think that you guys are not in such a bad position, because one of the main things that a lot of people forget is that what you need, cohesiveness between the O line, but you also need health. And that's one
Yeah.
thing that we're dealing with or not dealing with at this point.
Mm.
So the fact that you guys are healthy and your backups are healthy, I think you guys will be fine. I mean, I don't foresee any major issues per se. I think you guys should be okay. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't you guys pick up Falele this draft
No, Falele
or
is
no?
entering.
No,
Yeah, Falele was drafted in 2022, so he's entering his third year.
third
And
year. Okay.
but if in all candor about Falele, he was not pegged as a day one starter. He was one who had, and this is my opinion. He was a developmental player. There's a lot of
Mhm.
promise in him. I don't know how tall this man and how big this man is, but he's huge. I want to say 6'7", maybe 6'8". He's at least 6'6". Huge
He
man,
sounds huge.
very big, very very strong, very big. And so if he
Six
can,
eight. Holy
right, I knew
smokes.
he's huge.
380, 6'8". Get out of here, man.
He's huge.
You guys are good. You guys are good.
Well, the issue with Falele is being able to put it all together. He's got the size, he's got the strength, but you have to be able to move your feet quickly. You have to be able to, be in the correct position at the right time and get leverage against the defender. You have to do that. So those are areas where Falele needs to work on and improve. And if he can do that, like you said, we're all set, but it's just a matter of seeing him being able to do it consistently. That's what we'll be looking for. But, as you mentioned, it's Chris Jones. there's really,
Yeah, this
there's really little
there's
to
only so much you can do.
the
Yeah.
interior. The interior O line absolutely has to show up. This O line, the interior O line has to be there. Our tackles have to be there. Ronnie Stanley has to be healthy, and he is. By all accounts that we have heard, there's not been any setbacks, not been any issues, nothing of concern for Ronnie Stanley as of today that I know of. So going into
Mhm.
the game, we are relatively healthy in terms of all of our starters. That is, and even our second strings. That is huge for us. But I'm going to say hello to a couple of others who joined us. Good evening. We have with us the Hawk TV. Good evening. Thank you for being here. We also have Rave Kingdom. Thank you so much for joining. Yes, we're going to talk about Double T, Tua, and Tyreek. We're going to discuss those Dolphins and their matchup in just a few minutes. Yes, the Ravens have the best secondary in the league. That's a thing. That's
Mm,
we have a very scary
mm.
secondary because our depth at secondary is so incredible. And we just have such very, talented and versatile players in our secondary. But Yeah, the Hawk TV said, yeah, it's going to be a nasty combo between our quarterback and our running back. Yeah, that is. And
Agreed.
he
That
has
I
a
will
Samoan
agree.
connection with Falele. The Hawk TV, tell me your thoughts on Falele really quickly. If you'll let us know, do you think that he is ready? Do you, from what you've seen of him in the preseason, do you think that he is ready? Do you think he's, you know, obviously game one, we haven't been told officially who's starting. Our head coach generally doesn't do that for strategy purposes, but we kind of put
Hmm.
pieces together from the depth chart that we've seen. And I just want to know. Agnes says, "Yes, I hope these young guys show up." Me too, Agnes. We're asking a lot of our young players, and you know, it's a tall order for them. So, and Agnes says, "Yes, she agrees." Yeah, we do. We have our secondary is something fierce. It really is, but obviously, our wide
It's all
receiver
right.
room is not as dazzling or flashy as the Dolphins. We don't have a Tyreek Hill, and it's so we don't have that.
Nobody does. So
Nobody does.
it's okay.
Nobody does.
Don't
But you
feel
know
left
what?
out.
Shout out to nobody has the type of room that you have in terms of your depth at wide receiver. That's absolutely true. But during this offseason, Miss Fans, before Justin Jefferson got signed, I was clamoring on this channel, please, Ravens, go get Lamar Jackson, Justin Jefferson, even Brandon Ayuk up until the recent weeks. But anyway, so
Hmm.
as you mentioned, Zay, we talked about Zay and his level of maturity and him taking that next step. I think he's going to be a fantastic addition, fantastic for us this year. But one wide receiver I want to talk about and maybe get your thoughts is Rashod Bateman. And he's been in the league, several years,
Several years, yeah.
but he's just not been able to stay healthy and put it all on the field. And when he is on the field, you're talking about an excellent route runner. You're talking about a player who can get open. That's him all day. But the concern that I would have is even if you have all of that, if you don't have a connection with your quarterback, that to me could be an issue. So I don't know if you've heard much about Rashod Bateman or if you have any thoughts about him. What do you
Oh,
think?
I do. Yeah. So Rashad Bateman, we kind of made a little fun of him last year. It was kind of funny how your team pretty much didn't have wide receivers because we didn't know who Zay was going to be at the time. Um, but for me, the problem with Bateman is his inconsistency. That's the
Yes.
thing. And it's not even game by game because that's obvious. You hit it best with his injury concerns that you already have with him. Hopefully, he's super healthy for you guys here. But it's play by play, in my opinion. Drive by drive is his inconsistency. What I personally don't like about him. Um, he can run great routes. When he's on a heater, you're gonna have somebody that you can definitely depend on, but you don't know till when, and that's the problem. You know what I mean? And I think the if Rashad can, to your point, can put it all together, if he can find a way, which I think by adding Isaiah Likely and playing those two tight end sets, I think that will help out Bateman a little bit more, where maybe he's not the main focus, even though really it's always pretty much always been Mark Andrews. Maybe that might give him maybe less touches might be what he needs at this point. Instead of giving him more to handle because you just don't want to minimize the the inconsistencies. Let's just put it that way. You just
Yeah.
want to minimize those inconsistencies, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And unfortunately, well, it's not unfortunately, let me take that word back. He is our, at this moment, wide receiver number 2. So when you say given less
Mm-hmm.
targets, I don't know if that's possible given where he's ranking right now. Now, of course, as the season progresses, another wide receiver might climb up that depth chart and kind of edge him out, so to speak. But at least right now, the information that we have, he is number 2. He's going to get those
He
touches.
he may be listed at number 2, but I'm telling you right now, Mark Andrews is the number 1 option to your quarterback.
Yes.
Zay Flowers is number 2. And Isaiah Likely is number three, in my opinion. Bateman will
Mm,
get in there somehow, but knowing your quarterback, because I actually really like Lamar. Again, he's a Florida boy, so let's go Florida. Um, I I know what he likes, and he loves his tight ends. That is his safety blanket because they're big, they can block, they can get through tackles. So I expect him to utilize his tight ends and Zayflower be a lot more before he actually gets to Bateman, in my opinion. But that's just me as an outsider looking in,
mm,
as a football fan.
sure. Yeah, that's what we're here for. But and I agree with your statements there. I think Rashod is going to get quite a few targets early on to see because we need to see.
Mm-hmm.
They did not play in the preseason. Yes, they've practiced together this off season in terms of, training camp, et cetera. But now it's time. It's time to put it on the field against an actual defending team. And so when those defenders are lurking, how do you rise to the occasion? Bateman, are you able to handle the pressure? And are you in the middle of handling all of the pressure? Are you able to connect with your quarterback? Those are questions that we just really don't have consistent answers to that hopefully we'll see very soon. We'll take a couple of comments. We have with us, good evening, Jared. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're doing well. And Agnes says, Tyreek who? Tyreek, I'm going to give him his flowers. I'm sorry, Agnes. I love seeing a wide receiver, he got paid and rightfully so.
Paid again.
He's gonna get paid again. He's gonna get paid again. Absolutely. This is not the end of the line for him. And I know last season he was out for a couple of I don't know if it was a full game or a couple of games, but he was injured or had a slight injury. I
Mm-hmm. It's
remember.
like
Yeah, but it wasn't
1.5 games.
1.5. I knew it was very short. It wasn't anything
Mm-hmm.
long term, but I know he did miss a couple or at least one game. But yeah, he's a phenomenal wide receiver, and that's what we need to see. From our squad, we need to see a phenomenal wide receiver, but not only that, be able to connect with our quarterback. Once that happens,
Mm-hmm.
just like Agnes says, when Bateman is on, he's on. He is, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Hands down. I'm going to give that to him, but it's just we need to see it consistently. Good evening, Tim. Thank you for being here. Hope you're doing well. Hello, Connor. Hello, Odin. I hope you guys had a great day at school today, and I hope you all are tuning in. Oh, she said that was a typo. Okay. She said that was okay. No problem.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Don't sleep. Agnes says, don't sleep on Charlie Kolar. Yeah, he is a great blocking tight end. And I think Todd Monken is going to utilize him for that. I don't know how many catches Charlie will get just because we have Bateman as we know it right now, ready to go. And I think we're going to utilize Bateman, Zay, and then we have obviously Andrews and Likely. But we have with us Big Reg. Good evening, host of Big Boy Talk. Thank you so much for being here. And Deshaun86, good evening. Thank you for joining the show. Just a couple last questions about the Ravens. And before I move on, if you missed our thoughts on what the Ravens defense needs to do in order to help secure this win against the Chiefs, go over and watch my last live stream. It ended early because we were having technical difficulties, but we covered in pretty good, sufficient detail where we think our defense stands against this offense, the Chiefs offense, and what we need to do to be successful on the defensive side of the ball. So in conclusion of the Ravens game, question for you. What do you think are the keys for the offense in terms of winning this game?
I think I'm gonna give you three keys. Number one, I think that Lamar needs to continue to look down the field because I know him. That clock internally kind of speeds up, and you're going up against Chris Jones and actually a pretty good defense. But I think that if he can go ahead and slow the game down, keep his eyes down the field, I think that he'll be able to get his guys like Zay or like Likely, like Likely, or even Andrews. So for me, I would say number one, Lamar, keep your eyes down the field because you will see your guys. They cannot double everybody. Um, and he's lethal when whether they're playing zone or man coverage. So that would be one. Number two for your offense, I would say, is utilize your what works for your team, and that is your tight ends. That's
Mm-hmm.
your tight ends is what works for your team.
Yeah.
Lamar loves his big body receivers. Keep using those puppies. You literally have Mark Andrews' replacement playing with Mark Andrews in Isaiah Likely. So you want to utilize him, keep developing him, keep getting him targets, because I think year two now, he's going to be an even better tight end option for you. Do not diminish Mark Andrews, because he's still going to be, in my opinion, his number one target.
Yeah.
But you want to make sure that you get, the rookie in the second year. Um, Player there as well. And then last but not least, Derrick Henry, Derrick Henry, Derrick Henry,
Yes.
Derrick Henry. You need
Mm.
to use and abuse. The one good thing about Derrick Henry is that he good for him that he knows how to protect his body, where he's minimized the amount of injuries he's had in his career. I foresee that being the case here with you guys as well. And the fact that he's so good, he can run on the outside, but he is even an elite running between the tackles, running back, and he can take 2, 3 guys with him. For me, if they utilize and abuse him, you're going to extend the life of your quarterback, and you're going to be able to open up the wideouts for you, because you're going to have to focus on him.
Yes.
Essentially, take part of what the Titans did over there in Tennessee, bring that over, but still don't forget that you have your tight ends, which is your bread and butter, in my opinion. And that would be my 1, 2, and 3 for your success
Well
as your
said.
offense.
Well said. We have some that actually agree with you. And let us know if you are watching this live with us right now. Leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think are the keys for the Ravens on offense to help seal this game. I'm going to take a different angle, but I'm going to say Agnes said, yeah, that was a typo. She said Tyreek is all that and then some. I agree. Agnes says that offensive line, that's where we need to kind of focus our attention. And Deshaun says we should pass on the Chiefs. Their secondary is suspect. Yeah, their secondary is questionable. And it's still a good solid team, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
losing L'Jarius Sneed, you can't escape that. That's a tough loss for
Yeah,
them.
that was. I
You
mean,
know.
I don't know. I understand getting other guys, bringing new, but not when you have a guy that did what he did. In my opinion, he was their most important player,
Yes.
probably parallel to Chris Jones, in my opinion. Chris Jones at the line, Snead in that secondary, and it just worked for that defense.
Yeah.
We got to see who they try to replace him with, but in my opinion, they should have paid whatever the man wanted, because he was worth it in that defense.
Yes. And Agnes says, Miss Finns, love your assessment. Thank you, Agnes. That's very, very kind. Good evening, Lady Laura Baltimore. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. I'm going to kind of go in a different direction. My keys for the Ravens in terms of our offense. What do I need to see from our offense? I'm going to take two main points and then we'll move on to your Dolphins versus the Jags. The first thing I think that I need to see is this offensive line. I need to see, can they hold up? Can they protect? Can they be that wall and that shield for Lamar? And can they block for our running backs? Can they do that? If we have Justice Hill in the game, or if we have Derrick Henry, they're still going to need a lane. And they're still going to need someone to be there to effectively block for them. So I'm looking for our offensive line. And number two, obviously we talked about it earlier about Bateman, so I'm not going to touch on that again. But my other key to this game on the offensive side is coaching. We need to figure
Mm,
out what our identity is
mm,
early, figure out what works, and stay true to it. But more importantly, we need to be able to make in-game adjustments immediately and as needed. If something isn't working, we need to identify it and be willing and ready to correct it and have a plan B just in case they take away our plan A. That is what I think is going to be key against the Chiefs, because remember, we all know that team is led by Andy Reid. And you talk about a mastermind of football.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about someone who is just very cerebral when it comes to this game and scheming the game for his players to be successful. You got to
Mm-hmm.
outsmart him. That's the way you're going to have to do it. You're going to figure out what your strengths are on your team, maximize those strengths, and beat Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we've got to have a plan B. And that plan B needs to be almost as solid as that plan A. That's what I think. Miss Fins,
Agreed.
let's talk about these Dolphins taking on those Jaguars in week 1 on Sunday in
Mm-hmm.
Miami. Tell me about it. What do you think are some key matchups that you are looking for in the Dolphins and the Jags?
Oh, I'm super excited about this game, and I personally think that it's gonna be very exciting to see. More than anything else, our offense go up against their defense. I think that's probably what's gonna get what gets me most excited, because when you take a look at their defense, they're pretty good, if you will. But for me, I feel extremely confident that our offense is gonna be able to. How do we say this? Um, Overcome any roadblocks that we may face. And the one great thing about our offense is that we can hit you in the air, we can hit you on the ground, in the middle if need be. If you play us in a zone, too bad, because Tua will destroy you. And if you play us man, we're just too quick and you can't keep up. So no matter what the Jaguars are gonna do, I'm super excited to see, because I personally believe that this is going to be a great matchup for our offense versus their defense. That's what I'm looking forward to the most.
I was trying
Um,
I'm sorry. I was trying to see if I can pull up the depth chart, but for some reason, it's not pulling up the full depth chart on my end for the Jaguars.
yeah, for the Jaguars, I was trying to do it too. They had it as well, but then I
Now
don't
it's
know, for some
gone.
reason
Hmm.
it's not on. They only have three three
Yeah.
positions, which I'm like, well, there's clearly something wrong. So,
Yeah.
but
Gosh, because I
it's
really wanted to
not.
get into that. I wanted to dive into the names in their secondary who I think might be a good matchup for you guys on offense, but now I can't pull up the depth chart.
Well,
Oh,
I mean, I see Darnell Savage and Tyson Campbell, their
yeah.
corner and safety. They
Yep.
should be fine. Look, they also have Josh Hines Allen as well. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal um, DB. For me, again, I think that they have a really good defense. I would say top half in the league, in my opinion. But as far as our offense, I think our offense can overpower them. I think this particular game is going to end up being a shootout, in my
Hmm.
opinion.
Okay.
Our teams are going to, how do I put this? Our defenses, being that we have a new DC, I give us about 4 to 6 weeks for our defense. Typically, I say 6 to 8 weeks, but I think 4 to 6 weeks, we should be able to go ahead and get this defense fully formed. But because this is week one, I tend to lean more on the offense, to being that they're third year in the same offense. So I expect this to be a shootout, and I do expect for us to honestly to have a lot of fun. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what else to
I
say
don't know if it's
except
gonna.
this is gonna
I
be a good matchup for
Oh,
us.
it's going to be an excellent matchup. I don't know that it's going to be a shootout. You call me
I think
crazy
so
or call
too.
me call me incorrect. I am just at this moment. I'm just not very convinced that the Jags are coming out firing on all cylinders this year. I don't I don't see it. I could be very wrong, Miss Fins, and I will reach out to you after the game and say, wow, okay, they put up 30 points or 30, I don't see it. That's not to say that I think the Jags are just going to completely fall off this year and be non-existent. No. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to improve and he's going to be very good this year. But behind him is Mac Jones, and I told you all last night on your show,
Yeah,
I'm not convinced in Mac. I know what you
you're
said
not
about him
sold
as
on
his rookie.
him.
You know, I'm just not. But we'll see.
I'm
New
not worried about his
organization.
backup because I don't think he's going to see the field, in my opinion. I think Trevor Lawrence
Yeah,
now is healthy. I mean, he ended up still finishing the season even though he was injured.
yeah,
Now he had an off season to go ahead and get right. They still got Christian Kirk. They still have key players in that offense for him to use. And you also have to understand that you have Doug Williams as a head coach, and he is a savant when it comes to young QBs. So for me, I think that he's going to put his young QB in that offense into the right position for them to execute, which, you know what? I see them doing. I mean, I want to be as fair as possible. I
yeah.
had them 3 years ago. I said my two sleeper teams were going to be the Jags and the Lions. And look, after 2 years, the Jags won the division the year before due to injury and lost to this part of the year, but they're in the up and up, in my opinion. And then you have the Lions as well that obviously made it to the NFC Championship. So I I think that their offense is going to be just fine. I do think it's gonna be a shootout, and I can't wait to see it so we can use our shiny new toys.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you so much. I'm looking up for the depth chart on our lads. Let's find it.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I'm
our
gonna try
lads
and
is good.
yeah, it is. I'm gonna try and pull it up real quick. Okay, here we go.
Now, when it
Uh,
comes to our defense versus their offense, my main concern is our D line. That's what I'm most concerned on. Our second most concerned. Um, Mostly our nose tackle. What is our run game gonna be? They still have Etienne, and I know that he is a great running back. To me, if you can pick him up, pick him up. I know that he has been a little bit questionable, but you make sure that you get Etienne because he will be in this offense utilized. And with the combination of him and Christian Kirk and the other pieces that they brought in, although it's not going to be 100% of what they had, in my opinion, this is a good Jags team, but I have 100% confidence, especially my linebacking core, more than anything else. So, although, maybe the middle of our D line might not be as strong, I expect our edge rushers and our linebackers to shoot those caps and really stop that run, and for our secondary to be able to still match up with their wideouts.
yeah, I'm gonna go back real quick and thank you, John Parsons, for being here and letting me know that I could find where I could find the depth chart. And Big Reg, I'm coming back to your comment in just a minute, as well as you too, Deshaun 86. I my only reservation about the Dolphins on offense is your O line. But because
Mm-hmm.
of the way, because I just understand that your O line would have, like I said before, every team has strengths and you have weaknesses. And if I were to say right now, prior to the start of the season, what would be the Dolphins' weakness? For me, it's the O line. And but what I think more when as I think about it, I think about how your organization built around Tua. And so I think you all are prepared for a less than stellar or less than perfect or less than ideal offensive line because Tua is going to
Mm-hmm.
get the ball out quick. Tua has exceptionally speedy receivers. I think that's going to mask whatever deficiencies there might be early on the offensive line. That's what I think. Um, and
You're not
yes,
wrong. We feel the same way. The fan base is nervous. But the head coach, the quarterback, and the GM all said You guys are more worried than we are, so I am no longer worried about my O-line because in Butch Berry, who is our O-line's coach, I trust. And that's
Okay.
it.
Okay. Yeah. Our O line coach
Hmm.
just passed away about a week or so ago,
Oh, I
Jody.
saw that, yeah.
And,
RIP.
yeah, rest in peace to him and prayers to his family and, to the players as well
Hmm.
who've been working with him or working under him. He had a knack for developing raw talent. And now we are, I know we're not talking about the Ravens anymore, but that's one thing I'm thinking about in terms of the Ravens offensive line with our young talent. And now we don't have Joe D anymore, but we'll see. We'll move on with Warhop and see how that, see where we land. But in terms of the Dolphins defense, yes, Darby, he is a former Raven and he is listed as starting the left cornerback. So Ronald Darby is going to give you solid production this year. I don't have any doubt in that. Excellent pickup for you guys in your secondary. But more importantly, you got you got a great
We don't have
defensive
a Darby.
coordinator. You've got a great defensive coordinator. You have, you
We
know,
have a Darby?
I'm sorry, not the Dolphins, the Jaguars. They have. I'm
The
sorry, I was
Jags,
looking.
yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at Jags. The
Yeah.
Jags have
I
the.
was
Oh,
like,
you did.
oh, that man.
No, I
And
had
I was
Darby
in
up.
training camp, so I know who's there.
Ronald
Oh,
Darby, he's with the Jags now, and that's an excellent pickup. I think he's gonna be good for them. But for the
that I
Dolphins,
agree, yes.
yeah, for the Dolphins, you have Anthony Weaver. You've got a great defensive coordinator, one who I wanted to stay, but didn't, that wasn't to be. So now he's with you and, he's going to hold the players accountable. So that's what matters. That's very important. Last
That's what I
question before
like.
we, last question before we move on. What do you think the key is for the Dolphins and, to win this game on offense and defense?
Uh, Defense, you have to contain Trevor Lawrence. Don't let him get outside the pocket. He's a great quarterback. He can scramble. He can extend the plays. So you want to make sure that you contain him. So I expect our edge rushers, especially our young stud, little Chop Robinson, even though he's huge, but I do expect him to make a difference. As far as for our offense, this year will be the implementation and focus on our tight ends. And I can't wait to see that. So I expect John Smith to be heavily involved in that offense as well as Durham Smythe. I do expect us to run two tight end sets, might even run three. But at this point, I definitely see us running those two tight end sets. They're both pretty good blocking tight ends, and they're both pretty good at catching the ball, and we can kill you in the middle. And like I said, with Tua, if you're playing zone, he's gonna destroy you. If you're playing man, we're too fast, and he can pinpoint get that ball to the wideout. So for me, that would be it pretty much.
You also have Calais Campbell. I didn't mention that. You also have former Raven Calais Campbell. I selfishly wanted
Hmm.
him to come back to the Ravens this year, but that wasn't to be. But you have him. And I think he is a player. I know we say, oh, so and so is old, or they're older, or they're on that side of 30, the other side of 30. You're right. All of that is true, but he's still going to be a dominating force for you and a veteran presence for you for that for that D line. And as long as Anthony Weaver utilizes him in rotation, I wouldn't put too much of the workload on him because you want him down the stretch. You want him to stay healthy.
Hmm.
And he's going to be very, very helpful in terms of trying to limit what Trevor Lawrence can do. So that's important. Making sure that Trevor Lawrence doesn't have time, make him rush, make him hurry, make him get off sync. That's going to be incredibly important. So I don't know how your pass rush is, but if you have some good pass rushers or effective pass rushers, that's going to be in my mind, that's key. You've got to get after the quarterback. You have to have edge rushers who are going to make sure that Trevor Lawrence is uncomfortable and uneasy all game long. So that would be my
Hmm.
biggest key for you. Um, And obviously, as I mentioned earlier, your O line. I'll be watching to see how they do. But I'm going to go back to Deshaun. And if you are still watching with us, thank you. Thank you. We're going to wrap up here soon, but just drop your score predictions in the chat for me. If you are watching this live, drop your score prediction for the Ravens and drop your score prediction for the Dolphins and the Jaguars. And while while they are doing that, Miss Fins, tell me what you think. Give me a score prediction for the Ravens and the Chiefs.
Ravens, Chiefs. I'm gonna give you two in the air, one on the ground. So I expect for you guys to end up. I expect Lamar to pass two touchdowns. I'll probably give one to Mark, and I'm gonna give the other one to Andrews. Then, as far as your rushing touchdown, definitely got to give it to Derrick Henry. I do think it's going to be good. So I have you guys going 24, 21. I think you'll win by a kick, in my opinion, because they still have a good defense, but 24-21 Ravens.
Okay. I think it's going to be a field goal. I think Justin Tucker I agree with you, is going to be the difference maker here. And I'm taking the Ravens 27-24 Baltimore. We come out with a victory in Arrowhead. Deshaun said 31-23 Ravens. I can see it. And I think that would, that's not too far off of a score. But Deshaun, I'm going to infer what you didn't indicate here. That's going to really be largely dependent on how well our O-line performs. Big Reg says the key is going to be Josh Allen getting to Tua with the pass rush. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, someone sounds like a hater. Oh, sorry, never mind. I forgot. Sorry, I'm in the AFC East, people, and you said Josh Allen. That's a trigger word for me. I
Yeah.
instantly thought
Oh,
that
you
Josh
thought it
Allen, but you meant Josh Allen of the Jags. So
of the
yes, yes, you're
Jags.
right.
Yes.
That'll
Okay.
be the key for them. But my guy's still gonna get out the pocket, still gonna get that ball over to our running backs, whether it's through a jet sweep or a screenplay or something. We're gonna get it out.
Yeah, I think so.
Not a big
That's
deal.
how your offense is designed. It's built for that. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as concerned about a underperforming O-line given your system, how it's set up. B. James, good evening. Thank you for being here. He said 31-14 Ravens. Ooh, wee. Okay. All right, B. James, I'm going to hold you to it. I'm going to hold you to it. Agnes, 28-10. Wow. Ravens and Chiefs. Okay, so 28-10. Agnes, I'm thinking you're saying the Ravens are coming out with the win here, 28. Okay. John Parsons tells us that Henry is going to rush for 100 yards and the Ravens win 24-20. I can see it. I can see that. Yes. Well, ladies, and Agnes wants to give the Dolphins. Okay, thank you. I just got a new subscriber. I couldn't read it, disappeared too quickly. Thank you for whoever just
Hey,
subscribed. Thank you so much for joining the family. Agnes says the Dolphins and Jags. Listen, she's taking the Dolphins here. 31-17
thank
Dolphins.
you. I like that.
All right. Well, ladies
I
and
see 34-31 Dolphins. 34-31 Dolphins.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you heard it here. Miss Fins, it's been a pleasure. Would you please let everyone know where they can find you here on social media?
Absolutely, guys. You can find me in all social media, um, in Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube. You can come to my channel on YouTube. It is Miss Fins. Everything's missing. Miss Fins. MISSPHINS, as you can see. So go ahead, subscribe. It's a lot of fun. And also too, I have a free pick'ems league. If you want to join the free pick'ems league, you absolutely can. It's free. It's gonna be in the link of the description. I have my draft in exactly 10 minutes. So you will see the link in the description of the show tonight at 8 p.m. that I'm doing for the live draft. And with that, the last two winners have won free jerseys from Fanatics. So if you want an opportunity to win a free jersey or something else, go ahead and sign up for that free Pick'ems League, and you can get one for even if you're a Ravens fan. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So there you go.
Thank you so much for being here, Miss Spence. This was a lot of fun. It's
Mhm.
going to be an exciting season. I'm looking forward to it. I cannot wait. Just before we get out of here, good evening to you, Michelle. Thank you so much for joining in. I see she is representing the
Michelle,
Dolphins.
that's my girl right there. How you
Yes.
doing, Michelle? Thank you.
Thank you for stopping by. And Agnes says, yes, this week the Ravens and the Dolphins are both winning. That's it. Great show. Ladies, thank you so much, B. James. Family,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Make sure you go over to Miss Finn's. Her links are in the description box where you can find her on social media. Follow her, subscribe to her channel, show her some Ravens flock love. It's all good. Our teams may very well see each other in the AFC Championship.
Hmm.
Well, that is all I have for you all
Absolutely.
tonight. You take care and stay safe. And always remember, go Ravens. God bless.
Fins up.